Well, you're going to get asked this a million times in there probably, but what's wrong with Auburn?
Well, not anything that can't be fixed. Auburn's got a good team. I've said this at the beginning of the year, and I'm working now on television. I have this chance to sit down and look at teams across the country and look at film and look at players and look at recruiting. They've got a lot of good players. I think that obviously every team's got their weakness, and I think it kind of showed a little bit Saturday. You know, when you play football in the SEC, you got to start with defense, and Gus has found that out. They're playing good defense now. Second thing, you got to have a good running game. They got that. But there's one other thing you got to have, and you got two options. You got to either have a running quarterback, or you got to have a good passing game. That's got to go along with the running game from the other backs. Well, we found out Saturday that no running quarterback and the passing game failed, and I think you know, by the naked eye, you can see that. I think maybe completed one pass in the second half. That's tough. So back to the drawing board. Everybody thought Stedham was going to be the answer, and I think he's a good quarterback. But you know, when you get into a passing game, knowing that your quarterback can't run, that's hard. It's really hard to execute against good SEC teams. And I know LSU's had their problems, but they're good on defense, and found that out Saturday.
Were you okay with the play calling?
Well, you can always go back and second guess that. You know, I second guess myself almost every game that we had problems. I'm sure Gus is doing that. They'll go back and study that. You know, they're not out of it, but they can control their own destiny, and that's what you want. That was a bump in the road, and it wasn't one that everybody expected after LSU loses to Troy. But it happened, so you got to go on. They now know that they have to beat both Georgia and Alabama at the end of the year, which is going to be very hard. They can't have any more problems down the way. They've still got to go to LSU. Texas A&M. That's going to be tough. So that being said, Auburn's got a good football team. I've watched a lot of teams across the country this year because I'm doing TV, and they rank right up there with the rest of them. But when you go to a game, if somebody finds your weakness and they exploit it, then you're going to have problems.
How do you beat Alabama at this point with their talent level?
Well, Alabama's got good talent, but Auburn's got good talent, and so does Georgia. I think that's going to be the games that are going to happen. Again, you don't know what's going to happen with the Florida-Georgia game yet. I've done 2 Georgia games on TV, and if somebody can beat them, there's going to be a real good opportunity, you know, for somebody to beat Alabama, because that's going to be a very good football team. But Alabama's, you know, I had my doubts at the beginning of the year because Nick had a lot of young guys. But you just can't discount that quarterback. I mean, he is, I don't know why he's not being on all these Heisman watch lists, because he just does his job and wins games, and he's not very fancy at doing it, I guess. But Auburn's playing at home. They're playing their last 2 games at home, which is very key. Knowing, been in that game several times, the home team's got a 10-point advantage. And not a 7, I think a 10-point advantage. So between now and the Georgia game, Auburn's going to have to find a little bit more offense. It's got to come either from a running quarterback or from the passing game. And if that doesn't happen, it's going to be very tough for Auburn.
You were obviously the last coach to win at Auburn in Baton Rouge. I mean, what do you think the issue's been over the years, and is there some kind of curse going on with that cigar game?
Yeah, and I was a young 45-year-old that day, and that's the reason I smoked cigars. People from LSU don't believe that, but I said that immediately after. That was my 45th birthday, and we won the game, and some of the coaches said, let's go out and smoke a cigar, and we did. I hope that's not a curse. Of course, you know, I went back several times after that, and we missed 5 field goals. Les Miles threw a ball at the end of the game, a go route, which everybody was shocked, and made a great catch in the end zone. You know, we just never had any luck after that. So I guess if we want to blame it on that, I think you can probably blame it more on probably coaching, but you know, from my side. But it'll be broken sooner or later, and I thought this was going to be it. Unfortunately, it didn't happen for Auburn. But again, there'll be more opportunities.
Quite a few fans have lost confidence in Gus. How much confidence do you have that he's still the guy to get it done?
You know, Gus is, and I've told people this, and I think the problem that we've had is a lot of these coaches have been brought in, not just Gus, but other coaches from other places that really didn't know a lot about the SEC. Now, Gus knew a little bit, but he wasn't a head coach. coming in being a head coach in the SEC is different. I mean, you've got to have a really strong philosophy behind what you're going to do. You got to stick with it, and Gus has done that in terms of offense. But he had to learn it took him 2 or 3 years to kind of figure out, it's a lot easier if you play defense, it helps your offense out. But Gus is a good football coach, and he's proven that. Now, it's kind of shown up this year of knowing that he's got a good football team, that you've got to build on your weaknesses. Now, we'll see in the next 5 or 6 weeks. Everybody saw the weaknesses. He knows them. His football team knows them. And to win this conference and to win just one of those 2 games at the end, which are going to be very tough, but both are home, those weaknesses have to be really worked out and built on. And so, Gus and I are friends. I think he's a good coach. This conference is just hard, and it's really hard when you got the boys over in Tuscaloosa playing like they're playing, and it makes everybody's job a lot tougher.